Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make an incredible steak where you get a dark, crisp brown crust around the whole outside, and it's without overcooking it so that it's still tender and juicy and amazing on the inside. I'll also show you how to make a super easy steak sauce to go with it. Now, the number one most important thing to get that amazing crisp crust on any steak is we have got to evaporate moisture quickly. In order for that caramelization and browning to occur, we've got to get water away from the outside of our steak as fast as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our cast iron skillet. Now we want to turn our burner to medium or just above medium. Don't go too high. We want to go ahead and let that come up to temp slowly. Be patient. Let the metal get fully saturated with heat so it stays hot, hot, hot as long as possible. Next, we'll want to grab our steak and then get a couple of clean paper towels, and when we open the package, we'll pat the meat as dry as we can get it. Think of what we're doing like this. If you took your steak and you threw it in a pot of boiling water, it would cook, but it would be nasty. It would be gray on the outside and there wouldn't be any caramelization or any crust. So what we want to do is go as far to the opposite extreme with that as we can and get rid of all of that water as quickly as possible. That was tip number 2. Tip number 3, what you want to do next is nothing. Do not put any seasoning on it right now at all. No salt, no pepper, nothing. Because what's going to happen if you do is when you put it in the skillet, all of that is going to stick and kind of burn to the skillet, and it creates a barrier between our beef and the nice hot steel that's going to evaporate our moisture. And it sounds simple, but that's where I see a lot of people get tripped up with this. So don't put anything on it yet. Now that our skillet is nice and hot and our steak is good and dry, it's time to put it in the skillet. We don't need any extra oil in there, just what seasoned it was enough, and we lay our steak flat in there, and you want to push on it in several places so that we get as much beef to skillet contact as possible. Now that we've had that sitting in there for about 30 to 60 seconds, we're going to take a break from traditional thinking and we're going to skew way off into a tangent. This is going to be strange, I know, but you've got to trust me on this. We're not just going to leave it there for 4 to 6 minutes and then flip it. Stick your spatula underneath there and free it from the pan, and then we're going to slide it side to side. When we do that, we get a twofold benefit. When we slide the steak over, the moisture that was trapped underneath is going to escape quickly, and we're going to be moving from steel that the beef had previously cooled to nice hot steel that it hasn't touched. Once that side of the steak has had a chance to just start to warm a little and the juice starts to flow just a tiny bit, we're going to go ahead and flip it. We're going to do that so that we get an even cook and so we can get rid of that moisture on both sides as fast as possible. During this cook, I have no problem flipping the steak 3 or 4 or 5 times, and that also gives us the benefit of seeing where we need to focus on. The next time I turn this over, I'm going to push on the spots where the beef was the lightest in color so that we can get an even brown across the whole piece of meat. You can see we're already starting to get that beautiful mahogany color on our crust, and I want you to notice something. We're not anywhere near done yet, really. This steak, if I pulled it now, would still be completely rare in the middle, ultra rare. I really prefer my steak to be true medium, but I know a lot of people kind of prefer medium rare, so I'm going to shoot for somewhere in that range. This is also the time when we want to go ahead and put our seasoning on. Sprinkle a good coat on one side and just let it sit for a minute. Then flip it over and do the other side. I'll flip it back over once just to make sure that seasoning has been seared on both sides. And once we're about 5 degrees or so from our target temperature, I'll pull the steak off and let it rest. While we're waiting on our steak to rest, I'll show you how to make a great dipping sauce. I know most of you think, but hey, a great ribeye doesn't need it, but you might change your mind when you see this. You can see where a lot of the seasoning we put in our pan did stick, but that's perfect. That's just what we want. All we're going to do now is slide our skillet back on the heat and put a little butter in it. Once the butter is completely melted, it just starts to turn a little bit darker color. That's perfect. All you need to do now is splash a little water in there and watch the magic. And just like that, we have got some fantastic steak sauce. Now, usually I pour this right over the steak, but I want to go ahead and cut this first so you can see what it looks like inside. Look at what a crust we got on that. Super juicy. Just super juicy. Perfect. Mmm. Now the only test that really matters. Oh my gosh. There's just nothing better than ribeye. Nothing better. Be sure to let me know what you think about this steak. And also, for my regular subs, is this content, like this kind of bonus video, is this something you like? Let me know. As always, thanks for watching. Good lucks.